Entertainment, spirituality, and current affairs. Those pillars are what allow us to bring you radio according to you. For many people, ending up in prison is the end of their dreams, ambitions, and goals. One 23-year-old prisoner named Kanyile Faba has, however, inspired thousands of South Africans after he decided to redo his matric and got a whopping 7 distinctions while he was at it. Many prisoners decided to redo their matric in 2021, but only one of them stood out. Kanyile Faba, who is currently serving a 10-year sentence at Brandflay Correctional Center, also made the wise decision to rewrite his matric exams, even though he passed the first time around. The decision turned out to be the best that he could make for himself after he not only passed but got a total of 7 distinctions. Reports say how the bright 23-year-old ended up behind bars after finding himself involved with the wrong crowd. While he was in prison, he reflected on his decisions and where he went wrong and decided to dedicate all his free time to studying for the exams. Taking to Facebook, one user, Daniel Tswale Dimalachi, shared the heartwarming news on his timeline. He said, "I present to you a young man from Brandflay Youth Center who did wonders in his matric exams. I particularly like the blend of subjects he took. Kanyile Faba obtained 7 distinctions. He also explained that Kanyile got distinctions for the following subjects: 82% for isiXhosa, 80% for English as the first additional language, mathematics literacy 88%, 99% on business studies, 90% on life science, and 93% on tourism." Also, reports that this is not where Kanyile is hoping to stop when it comes to chasing his dreams and aspirations. The young man has shared that he would love to further his studies and pursue a career in engineering. He also says that this amazing achievement has greatly boosted his confidence in himself, and this is something that will undoubtedly help him reach even further for his dreams. What a player. Well played, son. Well played. Suggestions have been raised at the Special Investigating Unit to probe into Telkom's affairs. Ordered by President Ramaphosa, might be retaliatory, punishing the company for collapsing his ambitions to urgently release radio frequency spectrum. Telkom's botched expansion into Nigeria and Mauritius almost 16 years ago has come back to bite the fixed line operator. It is now caught up in a damaging dust-up with President Cyril Ramaphosa and SA's elite law enforcement body. In a surprise move, Ramaphosa asked the Special Investigating Unit to launch an investigation into Telkom's affairs for possible corruption and malfeasance relating to, among other things, its dealings in Nigeria and Mauritius going as far back as the 1st of June 2006. The investigation would be wide-ranging, according to the government gazetted notice that was authorized by Ramaphosa on the 14th of January and published on the 25th of January. The SIU is an independent law enforcement body that investigates corruption and other forms of wrongdoing relating to state institutions, public funds, and state assets. The SIU is also tasked with recovering monies lost or issued under questionable circumstances. Its investigation into Telkom would probe serious maladministration regarding the company's affairs, improper or unlawful conduct by its employees or officials, unlawful appropriation or expenditure of public funds, unlawful, irregular, or unapproved transactions, and intentional or negligent loss by public money. On Wednesday, Telkom responded to Ramaphosa's move, saying it was awaiting further clarity on the scope of the SIU's investigation into the company's affairs and alleged wrongdoing. In a statement, Telkom said, "We'll deal with the investigation on the merits of the appropriate forum in the appropriate manner at the appropriate time." Telkom was also offered a brief defense against any of the allegations that might arise from the SIU investigation. There is fury amongst opposition politicians this week after it emerged that a Chinese ship was given government permission to dump toxic waste off the west coast of South Africa. The Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment has officially signed off on an emergency permit which would allow the NS Qingdao to dump its reactive cargo between Mzansi and Helena Bay. The ship, which initially turned up at Durban port while leaking toxic fumes last October, was then directed to the open seas in order to get rid of its chemical load. Sodium metabisulfite, magnesium nitrate, hexahydrate, and caustic calcinated magnesite have been sent to the bottom of the ocean. The ANC has insisted that there's no other option available and defending their decision by arguing that the toxic waste is too far away to harm anything, it being disposed of some 250 kilometers from the nearest landmass, and will eventually settle some 3 kilometers under the surface. Two DA MPs aren't satisfied with this explanation, however. Chris Hunsinger and Dave Bryant have both asked the department to present itself to Parliament and explain why they agreed to this dangerous dumping. The DA has noted with concern reports of the large Chinese bulk carrier, the NS Qingdao, that apparently been given the go-ahead by the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment to dump at least 1,500 tons of toxic chemicals into the ocean off the fragile St. Helena Bay coastline. There are certain serious concerns as to how the dumped waste will interact with the powerful Benguela current, which could carry it into areas where it may pose a risk to other marine life and humans. The department must come clean on how this vessel was granted carte blanche to dump large volumes of chemicals into the water. The only machine in South Africa able to print driver's license cards, which has been broken since November 7th last year, has finally been repaired and it's operational again. The 20-year-old machine broke down in November because of a backlog of license renewal applications. Transport Minister Fikile Mbalula announced on Wednesday that the machine had been fixed and was operational. He said, "Good morning, SA. Yesterday, I visited the staff at the Department of License Card Agency and spent the afternoon with them. The licensing card machine has been fixed and is in operation. The staff are pulling day and night shifts to ensure the licenses are made and delivered. Those with expired licenses due to the pandemic lockdown and whose cards expired after March 6, 2020 have been granted an extension by Mbalula to have until the end of March this year to get them renewed. Civil society organizations have estimated that more than 1 million people are affected by the backlog." From the Digital Vibe scandal to the Eastern Cape's scooter ambulances and multi-million rand contract between controversial businessmen Hamilton Dlovu and the National Health Laboratory Services, the Special Investigating Unit reports details the plunder that took place in all spheres of government in the country's response to COVID-19 pandemic. The presidency has made a public report into the over 5,000 contracts valued at about 14 billion rand, which were investigated by the SIU. Of those, 45 matters constituting a combined value of 2.1 billion have been enrolled with a special tribunal on corruption, fraud, and illicit money flows. The SIU reports details how the NHLS officials circumvented the restrictions on Feliham trading, which is linked to Hamilton Dlovu via his fiancée, resulting in the company being awarded a contract of more than 14 million, among others. The unit also found that Ndlovu was directly and indirectly linked to various other entities which had been irregularly awarded contracts with the NHLS. Furthermore, analysis of bank accounts revealed that all companies which had been awarded contracts made payments worth more than 42 million into Ndlovu's account, which may potentially constitute money laundering. The SIU is seeking to recoup more than 172 million rand from Ndlovu, who recently lost his bid to stop further proceedings at the special tribunal. A trial date has been set for the 11th and 12th of March, while disciplinary referrals were made against 8 NHLS officials, 3 of whom resigned before the hearings could begin. It's all crumbling. And finally, further afield in this beautiful continent of Africa, in sports, Egypt qualifies with a 5-4 win on penalties after the 1998 quarterfinals penalty shootout. The 2006 final loss, Ivory Coast has lost yet again on Wednesday, January 26 to Egypt. Liverpool star Mohamed Salah hit the winning penalty for Egypt. The Pharaohs go into the last 8 after their 5-4 win against Ivory Coast on Wednesday, with the two teams were tied at the end of regulation time, and despite extra time, neither of the continent's giants was ready to bow. Each had a beautiful goal chance in the 98th minute of the Egyptian Ahmed Sayed, and in the 104th minute for the Ivorian Ibrahima Sangare. It is finally on the shootout session that Egypt eventually crushed the Elephants' dreams. The third time Ivory Coast loses to the Pharaohs in those circumstances. On their quest for an 8th continental trophy, Egypt will meet Morocco on Sunday, January 30th, in the Amadou Ahidjo Stadium in Yaoundé. On that note, that brings us to the end of our current affairs. Good morning if you've just joined us, and thank you for making Moment of Truth your 9 to 12 destination. It's good to have you here.
We're social. Check us out on Facebook.